Hey, Assalamualaikum and a very good morning. Hello everyone. I am Fred, Assistant Community Manager, Common Ground Iskandar Space, as your host for today. And welcome to Ignite Road Series, Navigating Tech and Talent in Human Capital Development. Iskandar Global Innovation and Technology Exchange, or Ignite, is a series of online events and virtual sessions culminating in the Ignite Innovation Conference on December 2021. Ignite will be focusing on how innovation and emerging technology will impact our life and the future. Before we get started, I would like to go over a few housekeeping items. First one is please turn off your mic and camera throughout the session. This session will be recorded. And finally, if the audience wish to ask questions, please click the raise hand button below. You also can type your question at the Q&A section and the moderator will read it at the end of the session. Okay, without further ado, I would like to invite our moderator for today, Farah Lisa Rahim, Assistant Vice President SCM from Iskandar Investment Berhad. So, Madam, please take the floor.
All right. Thank you, Fred. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to all Iskandar Innovation Hub community members and ecosystem partners. Before we start, let me introduce myself. My name is Farah, the Assistant Vice President of Human Capital Management at Iskandar Investment Berhad. So a special gratitude to our partner and our co-organizer of this event, Common Ground, for making this event happen. We are so excited to welcome everyone to the second Ignite Crew series. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining our morning session today. So together with us, we have our panelists, the Senior Vice President, Head Total Rewards and People Solution, Affin Bank Berhad, Juan Asma. And we also have Benjamin Krog, the co-founder and CEO of Brio HR. Thank you for making the time to be part of this event. Yeah, how are you and what do you do? Can you please introduce yourself? Maybe we start with ladies first, Juan Asma.
Thank you very much, Farah. Assalamualaikum. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Fred. Such a lovely day. Today is Friday. Thank God it's Friday. My name is Juan Asma, Juan Oma. Everyone call me Asma. So currently, I'm with Affin Bank Berhad as the Senior Vice President, Total Rewards and People Solution. So basically, for the past 21 years, I've been with various industries in Malaysia. Mainly GLCs, starting off with Telkom and then Malaysia Airports, properties, Worcester Properties, and now with Affin Bank. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Asma. All right, Ben, your turn.
All right. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having us. Thanks, Fred and Farah, for the intro. And nice to see you, everyone. Even though I don't actually see you. So I'm Ben. I'm the co-founder and CEO of Brio HR. So Brio HR is actually a Malaysia-based HR technology company, and we provide an all-in-one HR management solution that really aims at modernizing both the HR experience, but also the employee experience. So we have been founded in Malaysia a few years back, and yeah, trying to reach as many and to help as many companies as we can. On a very fast personal basis, I've been in Malaysia in more than 10 years. I'm French originally. I worked with a big company leading a shared services center for a few years. Then I worked as a consultant for McKinsey before joining Lazada. So I'm sure you all know Lazada. I'm not responsible for any delay, even though we were working hard to make everything arrive on time. Before I decided to co-found Brio HR with my co-founder.
Thank you, Ben. Can we get discount for Lazada?
I'm not with them anymore, but I will try to ask if there is any phone I can get.
All right. Thank you, Asma and Ben. We are so excited to have you today. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, today we will be discussing about the navigating technology and talent in human capital development. So, all right, Asma and Ben, in the past year, HR leaders played vital roles in adapting their organization's workforce to the unforeseen changes by the global pandemic, resulting massive increase in remote work, which raised the HR function visibility and contribution to the business. And the HR functions have had to pivot their priorities swiftly, transitioning the workforce from the reaction phase to resilience, recovery, and finally, the new reality. So each phase requires new mindsets and skills and will no doubt have a long-lasting impact on our workforce. All right, so year by year, everything is evolving. So Puan Asma, I believe you have gained a lot of experience in this field. So maybe you can share with us how much the human capital in Malaysia has evolved as compared to the past 5 to 10 years ago?
Okay. During my time in telecom, like it was like 10 years ago when we first started hsbb, high speed broadband. Now we have a 4G, 5G connection, internet connection and whatnot. During the launching, I still remember until now when we launched hsbb at that point of time, we have featured the online classes, the online hospitalization, and also a lot of transaction via online and whatnot. So happened after 10 years, in 2020, we are hit by the pandemic, and everything has to be fast tracked. Doing everything online, work from home. Even for our kids, I have 5 kids myself. Even my kids have to start learning at home and whatnot. It's a very I think most of us have experienced a very stressful time when we first started, when COVID hit us in 2020, and then we have to change 360 degrees of how our working life and also our day-to-day life, doing things differently, and then everything must go online and whatnot. So to me, it's a very challenging time, crucial for HR, because at that point of time, I think even myself, I was with my previous company. A lot of our transaction, I mean, the daily job is manual transaction. So when we have to move from manual transaction to online, it took us quite some time to change the mode of transaction, the mode of communication, the mode of how we deliver things and work. So digital signatory, we have to find out how we do digital signatory, how we do exchange of paperwork via emails, via system. Even our system at that point of time also are not so advanced, or Benjamin, we call it canggih lah in Malaysia, kan? So it's very hard to adopt into all this thing, but alhamdulillah, as time goes by, I mean, being resilient as human being, when I believe as a human being, when you are pushed to a certain limit, you can be resilient, you can change, you can adopt, you can adapt, and that's the beauty of us being human being. And as an HR practitioner, this shows that we can move our people in a different ways, not in the traditional ways any longer.
Yeah, it will revolve around the manual submission to automation and more effective measures, right, Puan Asma?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
all right. Yeah.
Even now, when we're doing the online webinar, I still can't grasp the fact that I cannot see the participants. I can only see there's 45 of them, and I'm looking only at 4 of you. So yeah, still there's people around lah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Puan Asma. All right, Ben. As the CEO of Brio HR, can you please share what kind of services that Brio HR provide as a human resource solution provider company?
Sure. So the idea is really, as I briefly mentioned earlier, to modernize and to equip the HR teams in every company with the tools they need to manage this switch from you know, offline to online and more and faster, which goes mostly via adoption. Technology in itself is not useful if it's not used properly, and so on and so on. So the first thing is that we provide a platform that will basically unify and contain all the HR processes across the employee journey in one user-friendly platform. And user-friendly is actually a very key word here, because there is of course a lot of platforms that exist, but I often hear, yeah, but I'm not sure how to do that, or it's painful to do this, do that, and so on. So we really insist a lot on the interface and the user friendliness on the system, so that at least when you implement the solution, employees can use it even without any training. Though we propose training to HR and so on, because they are more power users. That's one of the first components. Then in terms of the way we deliver our service, I think what we bring is that we try to think a bit different in terms of instead of focusing on HR administration, we consider it as a big pillar, but among a few other pillars, if you want. So we have, I would say, three main pillars that we work on Brio HR at the time, which will be talent acquisition, which is a huge process involving a lot of stakeholders and so on. So, for example, we have modules that helps digitize and smoothen all the process around recruitment. So gathering candidates automatically within one single platform, no matter where they apply from in the beginning. And then managing all the process without having to use emails or reminders or manual follow-ups with interviewers so that they give their feedback or these kind of things. Basically, we put them in the platform in a centralized way and easy, again, to use way. So an interviewer, to give you an example, an interviewer can do the interview, and on the way back, quickly fill up a interview scorecard, can be simple or complex as you want, directly from their mobile, and it will be recorded in the system. So no more, you know, Word, email, and these kind of things. So then once you have hired a candidate, we have a new joiner onboarding module. So again, onboarding is a very, very complex process because there are a multitude of tasks and stakeholders involved. And we make it so that both HR can save a lot of time, but also that the employees or the soon to join employees have a great experience. So that's the first pillar. The second pillar will be the HR admin. So fairly typical payroll. So we are a fully approved payroll provider for Malaysia, actually also Singapore, and we are expanding in the other countries in the region. Leave management, claims management, employee file and document management, directory, org chart, reports and analytics. So that's I would say the admin pillar. And the third pillar is talent development. So we have a fairly robust performance management module that helps automate the appraisal process, trigger a 360-degree feedback loop, manage competency frameworks and so on. So fairly extensive, and we are still adding by the day, basically. But what's very important, in fact, is that beyond those individual processes, it's all in the same platform. And in fact, in itself, it's a huge, companies and HR don't have to maintain separate databases of employees, lists of employees. When you add an employee somewhere, you have to add this employee in 4 different software, maybe 2 or 3 Excel files. So we're really, one of the differentiators is really that not only we cover this, but we, of course, integrate it in one single platform. That's easy to use, and we always strive to make it easier to use.
So what is the difference between what Brio HR provides or any similar HR platforms compared to the enterprise solutions once developed for the organizations?
So in fact, there are a few, and actually the most of the platforms, and it's not all, but always most, and actually the combination of what we do is really the differentiating factor. Most of the platform will be focusing on the HR administration part. So yeah, you can run payroll, basically does the job, but you will have trouble. It will be first often fairly complex to use. You know, finding information is often a pain and so on. That's what our clients tell us, at least, that now it's make it much more easier with Brio. So a lot of platforms will focus on the administrative aspect of HR, but the day-to-day of HR people goes much beyond that. I mean, running payroll and automating payroll today is kind of table stakes, right? I mean, most companies, if not all, at least of a certain size, have something to run the payroll and not do the manual calculation. However, unifying it with a performance, recruitment, onboarding. Our onboarding in itself is very unique. Actually, we work with MNCs just for the onboarding because they have group, like group software led from their HQ, wherever it is their HQ. But then they say, oh, we still want to use your onboarding for Malaysia, for Southeast Asia. So the first thing is to go beyond the admin aspect of HR. The second thing is that a lot of solutions are, I would say, very established in the market, which can seem like a pro, but can have a lot of cons as well, because it means that a lot of them actually are fairly old. And it doesn't mean that they are bad software. I would never say that. But today, when you provide employee experience, employees and even HR, of course, because HR are employees, so we should not forget that. It's important to have something that is closer to your day-to-day application, right? Easy to use, easy to find the information, pleasant interface, these kind of things. And this is another aspect where we work and insist a lot that maybe was a bit more ignored, I would say, by other providers. And the last point I would mention, of course, I could go on, but the last point I would mention is flexibility, meaning that we avoid having ad hoc customization for each client. Instead, we invested a lot upfront so that customization is inbuilt in the Brio HR platform. What does it mean? It means that a super admin user at one of our clients, if they have the right access rights, but as a super admin usually they do, they can actually make a lot of changes and customization by pushing a few buttons for free, instantly, and in an easy way, which is huge compared to the traditional model, which is, oh, I would like to change this tiny thing here. Okay, it will take 6 months and that many 100,000 ringgit. Like it's crazy. So the idea is that in the end, it's much smoother experience for everyone, HR, other than HR management, and of course all the employees in the company. So that's really reconciling all those that makes really the difference. And usually when we show Brio HR, it's very well received.
All right, Ben, but many organizations from the HR perspective are not mature in their understanding of technology, you see. So because of the pandemic exposed that for a lot of organizations. So as a former McKinsey employee and how hassling into your own technology application, how do you or Brio HR sees this?
So what I've seen, what I've observed in 10 years in Malaysia, being a consultant at McKinsey, so seeing a lot of organizations working in a tech company such as Lazada, fast-growing tech company, working in a slightly more traditional environment in a finance shared service center at the beginning. What I observed consistently is that Malaysia and Malaysians in general are probably among the fastest adopters in terms of technology. I feel that usually what I see is that there is often a lag. So usually if we look at the world dynamics in terms of tech, often we see US first, like innovating a lot. Then we have Europe picking up a bit after US. And then we have Asia, at least historically. And I'm not saying that it's true for every segment. But then what I see consistently as a European myself is that Asia often leapfrogs Europe big time. US, honestly, they are still adopters, early innovators, and so on. But even though Europe often starts earlier, the speed of adoption, the rate of adoption that I observe is always very fast in Malaysia and other countries in Southeast Asia. So this brings me to observation during the pandemic, that the very first week of the first lockdown, of the first MCO last year, I remember articles in the newspaper saying that there is a special authorization for HR people to go to the office, whereas everyone was supposed to stay home, to run the payroll. So that's kind of crazy when you think about it. But actually, since then, so this was 1.5 years, right, roughly. Since then, I've seen that it's I mean, I could not say it's not happening anymore. I'm pretty sure it still happens, but the pandemic helped take conscience that there was no choice about digitization, moving over to the cloud and so on. And the adoption that I've personally witnessed over the past year and a half was, again, very exponential adoption. Lastly, to your point, that's really why we insist a lot on the user friendliness. If you have to train every single employee for 2 hours to book a leave, honestly, that's a problem. So here we provide a solution that basically you don't tell anything about your employees except that now they need to go there to apply for the leave and they can do it. That's it. You see what I mean? There is no specific training, and that's really the combination of this capacity to adopt fast and innovate and so on, and the usability of the platforms actually are I think two essential components. And then maybe Asma will be better placed with me on this. But of course, there is a big change management effort to be done by the HR teams themselves.
Yeah. Right, I totally agree with you, Ben. But seeing what we have now in human capital management in Malaysia, we have numbers of innovative solutions have been implemented, right? So we see all the development, the emerging technology like artificial intelligence, like AI or big data, and how does Juan Asma in Affinbank, how does Affinbank leverage into this?
Frankly speaking, we are also in a transformation plan at the current moment. So if you ask me about our HR system, I would say we're still in developing stage because at the current moment 70% of our HR transaction is on manual, and then 30% is on online in system. So there's a lot of things that can be done in that perspective. In that perspective, so if you ask me if I want to have an HR system that are agile and robust, I just want everything on mobile phone. My mobile phone is our life right now. Yeah, everything else is on mobile because I read emails, I look at my calendar, I even do Teams meeting via mobile and what so not. So to give the futuristic employee experience to our people when there's a lot of Gen Y, Gen Z, and you name it, the millennials, coming into the company and coming to the workforce, they have been with their mobile for like if you see the study is like in a day more than 7 hours, 8 hours. So if you ask me, I just want my HR system also in apps, in mobiles. We're using if you have iPhone, you have Siri. If you have Samsung, you have what do you call it as Hey Google. What's my calendar? What's my appointment today? That sort of thing. But of course, realistically, in Malaysia, a lot of companies, I mean, I've been with various companies and I've been using a couple of HR systems. We are still, I would say, developing in terms of digitalization and in terms of making sure our people are skilled enough to have the AI and also digitization skill set. Because at the end of the day, I'm sure, I think most of you are also my age. We have seen Matrix, So that is the what do you call it as the experience that want to see all. But I'm sure for younger people, if we say what Matrix. I haven't seen haven't heard about the movie sort of things. So that kind of balancing needs to be there, and of course it's a progress, it's a stage, but to me it's a good progress. When the pandemic, the COVID-19 came into the picture, we are in a VUCA world right now. There's a lot of volatility, so we have to be fast enough to adopt. And then in terms of HR also, in terms of system also, in terms of the people who's going to use the system also must be ready enough to adopt this kind of changes. And also how you say it as because there's a lot of volatility right now, and there's a lot of uncertainty. So we need something that can help us day to day. We need to give the employee experience. I've seen a couple of system provider out there. They have shown to us when people first on board, you can just go into the system, and then they can browse through the building, the offices via online rather than going floor by floor. I still remember my first day when I was working, I had to go floor by floor to meet people. So that sort of things happening right now.
All right. Yeah, Juan Asma, as technology disrupt the talent management paradigm, so more and more HR professionals are using the tech tools, right? So and at their disposal to improve the employee experience by understanding their people. I mean, at their more meaningful level, right? So employee related data is just as important. So it is more important than customer data, the customer data, because it tells you the secrets of how to manage your business better, right? So what's your opinion on that, Juan Asma?
Well, definitely, because I mean, I'm dealing with a lot of data of our employees day to day, because at the current moment, even payroll is under my purview. So sometimes when we have to, succession planning and also talent management are very important in a company, because right now I still think that in Malaysia we are very scarce in talent, and there's a lot of talent war out there, especially even in banking industry. Pinching is normal when it comes to the middle management and top management and senior management. So in the market right now, they are throwing like in terms of salary banding whatsoever, they are throwing like nobody business. I mean, this is my first time in banking, so I'm quite shocked seeing the robustness of having talent pinching here and there. So it's difficult for us to retain these people if we don't have a fast track or an agile system that can help us and then map the capability, the skill set, the strength and weaknesses that our talent have, so that we can do our talent pipeline more robust. Because at the end of the day, when somebody leave a company, it's a cost. When we want to hire a person, it's a cost to a company. So there's a cost impact to it, and in the long run, it's not good to any company, because when a talent leaves, it will cost us more than we want to retain them in the company. So I always believe that as much as we can, we need to help to retain our people and give them the experience that they need, and then help them in their career growth, so that they know that the company means a lot, and then they know that they can grow in the company with the right tools and with the right experience that they want to gain while working there.
Yeah. So point of view as human resource solution provider company, right, Ben? What are the area of improvement that Brio HR wish to drive to ensure good sustainability in clients' business in the future?
Actually, a lot. What we really, in fact, we really work hand in hand with HR professionals, with our clients, with people in the industry, and so on. So the day-to-day drive, I would say, behind developing Brio to what it is right now and to what it will be in 1 to 10 years is not driven like by me. Even as the co-founder and CEO, is driven by what we feel HR professionals need to focus on what matters, to be efficient on a few activities and so on. And honestly, there are endless there are endless possibilities, and then it's a matter of course prioritizing and so on, because you cannot do everything in a snap. But for instance, the very first module that we developed for Brio HR, among all that I mentioned earlier, was new joiner onboarding. So that tells you how important it is for us, but also even for me, because at the time, we were just beginning as a company, and we said, okay, out of everything we can do, what should we do first? And we decided to go for onboarding because first we felt that it was one of the most overlooked process in companies. So there are a few scenarios: companies that have no onboarding process at all. There are companies that have an onboarding process that is actually very well structured, very complete, but because it's manual, it becomes impossible to actually consistently, execute. So it's really never a matter of people competency in the HR team. It's a matter of the process being complex. And the third scenario that we've seen is companies with a very detailed, structured onboarding process and actually executing on it. But to execute on this, those companies, they have dozens of people just in charge of the onboarding. But those people would love to do also something else. Those people would love to be participating in a few other HR activities. So one good example that we've worked on is the onboarding process, where literally when someone signs an offer letter, it helps you shift from, okay, this person will join in 2 months, to this person has joined today. May not be officially day one in the company, but they are part of the team. They might be the top performer of tomorrow when they are in the team. So the way we conceive the onboarding is that this person, this new joiner, this soon to join employee, will be able to access a portal that will really give them a very different first impression of the company. They will be able to access the information they need to directly. They will be able to upload and enter whatever information they need to directly in a user-friendly way. And I insist on it because otherwise, I've done it myself. I've changed companies, and I think Juan Asma, you did it, but maybe all of us actually we did it. Honestly, I never had a very good experience. It was not necessarily very bad, but it's just that the norm is bad. So you don't even understand that it's bad. You're like, okay, as usual, you're right. But actually, there are so many opportunities to make this experience amazing. Like you give more visibility.
Okay, you have laptop. I mean, you will have laptop. You have emails. Okay, I have to start my work already.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And sometimes you arrive on day one and the laptop is not ready yet. The manager is on business trip for 3 days.
Yes.
So you will be by yourself. You will have some procedures to read, and so there are so many things. And actually the onboarding process is the first impression. It might sound cliche, but it's actually very obvious that it's the first impression that company gives to their employees. And there are studies saying that a very large number of employees actually leave within the first 6 months, or at least make their decision to leave within their first 6 months. And that this proportion is way reduced when there was a good onboarding experience, which makes sense, right? It's really not. So onboarding is for me a big example. When I was at Lazada, I also initiated a proof of concept, a POC on onboarding for people, like for instance,
Discount code. Give discount code to the.
Yeah, no, in the end, it's really about seeing the value that the employee will provide, staying longer. The discount code is that they don't resign as much as I was saying. It's a cost. So of course I detail more on one example, and there are many like performance management and others that go beyond the HR admin pillar, which is essential, huh? but it has to be complemented with a lot of other areas. And again, the idea is really employee experience and HR experience together, not only HR experience, not only employee experience. It's it's all together, because it's a matter of if HR team can free up some time by digitizing and automating some of the areas, this time is spent being happier themselves, because last time I was talking to an HR and she was telling me, well, I work until like 11 p.m. every day, and I honestly, I understand HR, they have to do everything, and even more since the pandemic, they became, and I could witness this, that they became from back office to super front office. Like every day the CEO would ask, how do I keep people engaged? How do we make sure they perform? How do we make sure? And all this falls on on HR actually. So the first thing I told her when she said, but if we automate, what will I do with the time I save? And I said, go back home earlier. Start with that. like because then tomorrow she might be maybe a bit more refreshed. She will have maybe a bit more time to actually talk to employees and engage employees and not spend time on some activities that are fairly repetitive and lower value added, I would say. So that's really balancing all this, and that's again, even though I took the example of onboarding, that's always how we think about developing other modules, areas, and so on and so on.
So how can Brio HR do to improve company goals with the new system installation? What do you think? How do Brio HR? Yeah.
That's very important. That's so leaning a lot towards performance management, which is part of talent development that Asma was mentioning just earlier. Performance management, actually, the first thing in our opinion, and again after talking to many HR practitioners, HR professionals, and so on, the first thing is visibility. Often employees they are a bit blind in terms of what exactly they are supposed to achieve this week, this month, this year, but also beyond their day-to-day job for the year, in terms of having opportunities to be promoted. Like, hey, can I have a promotion? Why? I mean, of course, I would like you to have a promotion, but can you make your case yourself a little bit, and then we will make your case together, and we'll try to get you, growing in the company. So in fact, what we provide in terms of performance management is, again, a user-friendly platform which helps automate all the administrative aspects of sharing competency frameworks, for example, to employees, so that today most of companies, they will have, or at least of a certain size, they will have a competency framework, but it will be usually in an Excel file that is not really appealing and that is maybe sent once a year to employees. And the issue is that employees, they don't really pay attention to it, and it's forgotten. And if at some point they want to look at it, it's like 6 months before they look in their emails and so on. So we make all this information easy to access, easy to digest. We give visibility over what are the key milestones that are happening in the near future. And we make it easy to, I would say, update and document discussions and KPIs, results, progress, basically, that you have on a regular basis. So essentially we try to we help companies, and we don't force them. Actually, that's one of the major points. I like the small steps. I like, before big data, I like small data. I like start with something first and then make it more sophisticated, and so on and so on. I think jumping into too fancy solutions when you are completely manual today can sometimes create a gap in adoption and so on. So I like the small steps. So we help companies pretty much digitize whatever they have today, so that at least they make the leap from manual to software, to system, to online. And then from there, they can always enrich and add some elements and so on. But again, the idea is to switch the performance management process from a backward-looking evaluation process to almost a continuous, almost coaching guidance process. Because in the end, the goal of the company is not to put employees on the bell curve. It will still happen, and I think it makes sense that it happens statistically and so on. But it's not the end goal. The end goal is that everyone reaches the KPIs. And everyone is a top performer, because if everyone is a top performer, the company is also a top performer. So the idea is that with Brio HR, you can facilitate discussions that may happen weekly or monthly or quarterly, up to you, between managers and employees, making sure that then problems identified early, course correction is actually executed earlier as well, rather than saying, What have you done 11 months ago? Ah, you haven't done that? Ah, then it's bad. You know, like you'd rather have that discussion when it happens and say, oh, this project that you were supposed to lead to, you know, to position you for a promotion that in the end did not happen. This happens all the time, right? That lead a project to show your leadership skills. And then at the end of the year, our project was canceled. So what do we do? Ah, but you cannot be promoted because you didn't show your leadership skills. You could have maybe earlier in the year say, okay, this project is canceled, let's pick another project. And really that's what we want to facilitate. And in the end, we will never, and it's not even our goal, replace the human interaction, the human action, and so on. We just make it easier for the information to flow, the visibility, the updates, the communication, basically.
Yeah, right. When you say that, right, Ben, I think the new technology system can motivate the employee towards the improvement. So, but how does the talent experience and motivation improve the implementation of the new technology system?
Now, if you feel that if we keep those two examples of onboarding and performance management, going very fast on this onboarding, if you feel that everything you've been exposed to before was painful, time-consuming, and actually not really good experience in terms of onboarding, if you understand that suddenly, oh, things are made easier for me, oh, then I have more visibility against what happened, so my stress level kind of is managed. You know, we try by providing visibility. Usually, you will try to reduce the negative stress and keep only the positive stress, because we are all stressed. I mean, it would be, I don't think it's possible to say there will be no stress when you join a new company. But the idea is that it should be excitement, you know, it should not be like a fear. So if the employee will quickly understand that, oh, this company, actually, they put in place this platform, they crafted this experience for me to have a better experience. So that's very quick on the onboarding. Again, I could go on, but on the performance side, same. If what is currently the case in most companies, if the performance management, the performance evaluation process is dreadful, time consuming, and you have to remember what you did 11 months ago, and 10 months ago, and 9 months ago, and so on, and you're maybe not sure you will get the right rating and so on. If employees see that suddenly they know what is going to happen, they know what are the competencies they have to work on, they have regular discussions that are facilitated by the platform. They have regular discussion with their managers, so they know that they are now being more coached and forward-looking, evaluated rather than past, good, bad, because even though it's never the objective, employees' experience during appraisal process is seldom good. Even though the manager, the HR, the company is well-meaning, it's a stressful event. But if the employee understands that, oh no, I know that I have to do this. So at least, you know, first I have no excuse to not do it, but also if I do it, I'm confident that, you know, I will basically be able to tick that as done and show that I've done it. So it's all a lot of elements that in the end will bring a very last example. If you have to log in to a software to get your payslip, if you have to log in to another software to do leave, to apply for a leave, if you have to do Excel to do your appraisal form, if you have to do email, Word, and whatnot to give your information when you're about to join the company, it's painful. And that's a bad experience. When it's suddenly all the same platform and it's user-friendly, you're like, hey, yeah, of course, it's easier to do. So I have less friction. So that's really what we try to achieve.
Yeah, I agree. And the HR managers will have to be aware of the kinds of technology that can meet their employees' business needs, right? So they will have to upskill and reskill staff, and then to manage the data privacy issues and use the AI or other technologies to improve employees' work. Juan Asma, can you elaborate more on this, maybe as the end user? So what do you see business receptiveness of the talent towards the new culture or technology being introduced in the company, specifically in Affinity?
Well, in terms of the culture-wise and in terms of the capabilities of HR managers and also the future leaders, I think most of the leaders in Malaysia right now, even in GLCs and also some other companies, multinational and whatnot. They are more open in terms of adopting digitalization and having people with new skill sets, so that this entails at the end of the day the productivity and also the efficiency of people doing work. So when we have the tools, the right tools and the right system in place, there's a lot of things that they can reduce the time in doing things. For example, like just now Ben was talking about performance management. I tell you, I've been in a company doing manual performance assessment appraisal manually for 10,000 people, and my staff was like post Malaysia. I mean, stamping every forms to ensure that everybody fill up and then everybody has submitted their performance form. So that kind of things. So it is time consuming, and and of course we pay you to do work productively and efficiently. So if we have to spend a lot of times doing all these things, I'm sure the future generation or the future workforce or the current workforce, even the current workforce, are expected to do more and then expected to deliver more, so that the company has, can increase their revenue and also reduce costs and what so not. So that is the end game. Every company is the same. So at the end of the day, if we have the right tools and if we have the right system in place, all this time consuming work can be reduced a lot, and we can focus, as even as an HR myself, I'm an HR practitioner. I can help. I can be the business partner to the business leaders, to help them in terms of what are the things that we can improve further for the company, rather than spending my time doing the manual transactions and then pushing people, hey, have you submitted your appraisal, have you submitted your forms, every day has to call here and there and then spend a lot of times doing all these things. Because if I have this kind of system, everything alert into the email, because we work a lot with emails. I can just apply leave via emails. I can just do my assessment, my staff assessment. It's prompted to me, oh, you have to do mentoring with your staff today for half an hour. So you have to make sure that you do that and put it in your performance assessment. Like Ben mentioned just now, it's forward looking rather than lagging. Everything previously, I think currently also we're still doing lagging assessment to our staff, to our employees, which if the employee, sorry to say, done something bad today, there you go, your work for the past 11 months has gone down the drain. It's not fair to the employee, which is again, even as an HR, there's another work that we have to do to become the unqualified counselor between the employee and the employer, because of this dissatisfaction and whatnot. So it's time consuming, and it's not helping our talents, our people to be more productive and efficient. So these are the challenges that we are still facing at this point of time.
Yeah, I see questions in the chat. Maybe I can pick this one. How can new systems can identify personnel's workload to ensure they are not overworked and tasks are distributed evenly among work colleagues? I think Juan Asma would be the best to answer this.
Okay, this is common. When we work from home, we felt that I have to do this again. They thought in their minds that the workload is not distributed fairly. But again, it's an interaction between the superior and the line managers and also the employee, because at the end of the day, every one of us, I believe, have their own task to do. So it's important when we set the KPI, when we set the targets correctly during the early of the year, to make sure that everybody understand what they need to achieve and what they need to deliver. So so this kind of so-called unfair distribution of workload and what so not are not being an issue with the employee, because when you have a clear set targets, it's easier. It's easier to do. My forte is in performance management. I can talk about performance management until end of the day. It's because I've been doing a lot of performance management courses and whatnot. So to me, when you set the right target early of the year is very important, because if you put garbage in, garbage out, that's clear cut. Like you play football. Benjamin, what is your favorite football team? You have France, Liverpool? I don't know. I always use this analogy of playing football. All footballer, all players, when they go into the field, they have a clear mindset. What they need to do is to win the game, and the coach will tell them straight away, we need to play this fairly. We need to win the game. It's the same thing when you when you go into the company. The leader needs to make the employee understand what we need to achieve, what the company wants to go, where we want to go. That's why the vision, mission, everything is important. The cascading of KPI is important, because at the end of the day, we have to play together as a team to achieve the same goal.
All right, there's a question for Ben. How would you describe the level of human capital management in Malaysia in terms of technology as compared to other developed countries?
So of course I know I don't know everything about the market and so on, but definitely over the past few years, talking to thousands of people in the field in Malaysia and in other countries, and of course interacting with a lot of clients and so on, I would say that there was a gap that is, in my opinion, closing fast. That's a bit linked to what I was sharing earlier about the adoption, the adoption trends that I could observe. In fact, that's also a question when we started even Brio HR a few years back. The question was, okay, there are some HR softwares in the world. There are some, and that's what Farah mentioned a bit earlier. But first, we felt that we like it, we are passionate about it, and we wanted to do it no matter what. But deep diving a bit further, clearly we decided that it was even more important to actually go for it, because we felt that despite having some software that exists and so on, we felt, and that's what a lot of our clients were telling us and a lot of people we talked to, they didn't have the solution they actually wanted, the solutions they actually needed. That's really what they said. So I think the gap was big also because maybe a slight growth of relevant solutions. Now the pandemic contributed to adopt very fast and so on. I still see from time to time, but it's very seldom, but I still see from time to time reluctance to go to the cloud, which I don't think is happening a lot anymore in some other areas. But again, even this, the occurrences of this, or we want on premise versus on cloud and so on, is drastically reducing. So I do think that the gap is really not that big not that big anymore, and that we will continue to close. And in the end, I'm convinced that very soon, actually, Malaysia will be ahead of a lot of countries, including France, being one that I know well, very in no time, actually. But you need the right solutions to help you accomplish that, actually, and that's what we try to do.
All right. So I think there's one question from Dini Fazlin. In current pandemic or endemic situation, how can new solution help manage employees' engagement, be both at home and offices? I think this has been answered by Juan Asma earlier, right? Yeah, about the work from home. And then there's one interesting question. Okay, this question probably for Juan Asma. Drawing from your experience, maybe you can share how can system and innovative solutions help assist you to provide efficient process for reward management in our local workforce, in corporates or in GLCs?
I know it's end of the year already, so everybody was waiting for the big fat bonus. So that's how the joke aside. I think that's why the questions comes in. And of course, being HR, that's always the interesting questions everywhere. So yeah, coming back to the reward management, of course, when you have a system, we can collect data once everything in place, the performance, the assessment, everything in place, and then of course the line managers, the superiors will give the staff, the employees the right ratings and whatnot, the performance rating and whatnot. So if we have the tools to be in place, we can just collate the reward, the reward calculation accordingly, based on the company's affordability. Of course, at the end of the day, it still depends on the company affordability. If the company doing well, yeah, you will be rewarded fairly. And then I wouldn't say in the current pandemic, if previously you can hear people getting bonus like 12 months, 13 months, how many months, but at this point of time, there's a lot of things that needs to be in place, and then and of course the reward must be accorded to based on their performance of the employees. And of course, with the help of the system, we can collect all this data and then come up with the reward framework, and then of course calculated the bonus pool, the reward, the monetary, the non-monetary part of the rewards. Because at the end of the day, people always think that reward, monetary. I know how many months I'm getting. But actually, when you talk about rewards, it's more than monetary. You can also have non-monetary values to your career. For example, in terms of your health benefits, your social benefits, and what's not. So, yeah, if we have the system, it can help us a lot in terms of collating all this data. Because at this point of time, even where I'm coming from, we're still doing it on Excel. so time consuming.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. There's one more question in the chat. Okay. The implementation, I think this one, yeah, both of you can answer this. Implementation of human capital fundamentals is still key in the effective management of human resources and the main starting point for a successful digitization and automation process of HR systems. Yet, many organizations or the management have yet to adopt the thinking of using HCM as a critical and strategic tool in organizational management. So how can innovative solutions and technology drive this message home so that top management takes on the perception that HCM is a strategic supporting function, not just tactical or operational? Okay, maybe Ben or Puan Asma.
we can both answer that.
Yeah.
So maybe what I would just share from my perspective is that what we discussed just earlier and what Asma mentioned as well. If first I really could notice the change again since the beginning of the pandemic, and I think that HR professionals, HR practitioners can leverage this to their advantage when it comes to having the tools they need, to having digitization, because in every single company, almost, I mean, I witnessed really HR changed dimension in the eyes of the management, who was often thinking that, yeah, it's okay, it works today, but it's okay, no need to invest in a new solution, in digitization and so on. But actually, over the past year and a half, topics such as managing the performance of people you don't actually see because they might be remote working from home and so on. So then they were coming to HR and probably also to the different managers saying, how can we make sure they perform? How can we make sure they actually work when they are at home and so on? And actually it's through solutions, it's through tools. I mean, it's facilitated at least through tools and solutions. You can track this in a much better way. And I would argue that it's much more efficient to track weekly goals or monthly goals, or maybe even the progress over yearly goals, compared to tracking presence in the office, which was and still is used in many companies, but is not actually it gives comfort to the management, or they are in the office, so they work and they perform. Actually, I would not necessarily say that there is a direct correlation between presence and performance. However, defining goals and KPIs and tracking the progress, tracking that those goals and KPIs are achieved, makes the difference. And so coming to the management and saying, this is not just to ease the work of HR, but first it will help managers and yourself have more visibility over the employee performance and what they do and so on. Second, back to the onboarding again. We know that employees with a bad onboarding experience will take longer to become more productive, to be engaged. Some of them might leave early in the company. So there is a direct impact actually in terms of retention, engagement, cohesion, performance, and so on of the onboarding, for instance. So there are a lot of course, we could find advantages, tangible advantages for each of the areas. But it's very clear today. No, I think it's the best time to go to the management and say, hey, you see what you asked me for 1 year and a half, that I need to make sure people are are still healthy, still sane, because it's very difficult on us to be an MTO repeatedly and so on, working even though they are at home and so on. This, to answer you and to make it happen, actually, I think digitization would be a huge help. Actually, I personally don't think it is even doable without digitization. I will leave it to Asma too.
I guess let me just wrap it up with the last question just now. Okay. Frankly speaking, there more and more chief people officer and chief HR currently in the management committee or sitting. So to me, HR has been it's an important role in any company to be strategic, and HRM is one of it. So because at the end of the day, what management wants to see is the efficiency, the productivity, and also the engagement. Because at the end of the day, when the employee are engaged, the productivity will increase. That's a proven case study already. So just want to wrap that with the last.
But I see there's one more question, but it's already 11:04. But I think
we can go until the afternoon. I'm sure Ben also have.
Okay, one last question. Okay, being a startup, I think this question for Ben. All right, being a startup company with a lack of budget for performance management system, what are some advices you would give to creating our own performance management tool? What are some key competencies that are important to note in measuring staff performance? Right, Ben?
Yeah, so It's an interesting question, and there are two, I would say, sides to the story, at least. The first one, in terms of what could you do, and at least how could you approach it. First is to keep it simple. Like in my opinion, what I've seen actually, and even more in startups actually, is that it becomes over complex, and that in the end it requires too many resources, too much time to actually even follow up, sustain the process, and so on. So first, I would say keep it simple. Maybe choose 3 to 5 key competencies that could be actually even company values, that maybe you have already thought about. And just make sure that you have a regular discussion on those, again, like maybe a monthly checkup in order to do the appraisal. And the second element of it is weekly or monthly goals, I think, is a good option. And again, it should not be 20 goals in a week with 10 results to 10 metrics and so on for each and so on. It should be, in my opinion, 3 to 5 goals, maybe even in a month. Actually, some goals might be on a weekly time frame, some goals might be on a monthly time frame, some goals might be on a longer than that time frame. So my first point is make it simple, because if you don't have a tool and don't want a tool and cannot afford a tool, whichever reason, you still would benefit tremendously by having a process and making it happen, by documenting the goals and so on. But the only way to do that is to make it simple. The other side that I would like to touch on is that not having a proper tool, if you need one, is much more costly than having one. There is this misconception, but it's actually an investment. An investment basically is $1 that you invest will bring back to the company more than $1. So and sometimes it's super tangible, sometimes a bit less, and maybe it's the case in some of those initiatives. But creating a tool internally, meaning having an IT team developing something, will lead to much more expensive, much more costs, and often hidden costs, than actually getting a tool that is proven, that is used by many companies, that works well, and so on. Because it takes basically the salary, the investment becomes the salary of the people working on it. People working on it might have other things to do, and therefore they will never be able, even though they are good and so on, they will never be able to develop the right tool, compared to an HR company like Brio HR, where every single of our employee, every single second of their day is dedicated to making this tool the right one. You see, and if you have someone in your company doing it on the side, honestly, don't expect it to be a fruit. And in the end, maybe the visible cost is not there, but actually the visible result is even less there. So in the end, it's more expensive. So that's my two things. Keep it simple and reconsider the budget. If you really cannot and you can keep it manual, go ahead. And I do think, and Asma mentioned it, for 10,000 employees a year, which is a very painful, I'm sure. Actually, we have some clients with 40 employees, and they were already saying it took me 2 full weeks, full time so the HR head and someone in the HR team, to compile the form, send the form, follow up with everyone, make sure that they have filled up the form, make sure that it was done properly, compile the feedback forms, then do some reporting for the management and so on. And actually, even though they did it themselves, so on the face value, the cost was zero. The cost was 2 weeks full time of struggle and of their salary, essentially, on this, which was probably more than a year of subscription of to like Brio HR. So it's really important to make sure we look at really the cost and investment. But if doable, and you already have zero, manually okay, but keep it simple.
Thank you, Ben. I see one of the participants has raised their hand. Maybe you want to ask question? Ada ke? Dini? Hi, Dini. Ada. Shall we wait for Dini? No. All right, it's already 11.
Farah.
Sorry, I mute. Okay.
No, we didn't dare to say.
Sorry. Okay. Before we conclude our discussion today, is there any last word from you two? Juan Asma or Ben?
It's been very interesting discussion that we have today. I hope we've given the insights to the participants that participate in this webinar. Thanks again to Iskandar Investment, Common Ground, for having me today for this panel discussion. And best of luck. Have a nice weekend, everyone.
All right.
And likewise for me, actually, I mean, thank you very much for having having us. It was a pleasure interacting with you, Farah and Asma, and it was, I think, a great discussion. Maybe the one thing I would mention is that if anyone in the audience felt it was useful and or maybe even has a question and so on, just reach out. You know, it's very easy. We are very laid back. You can send me a message on LinkedIn. I can even put my email in the chat very easily. Like it's I can actually put it no, if I'm not sure I can actually, yes. But basically my point is that if you want to interact more, if you have different opinions than the ones we express, you know, it's not only feel free to share, because it's really how we feed as well and how we progress. So very happy to. I put my email in the chat, LinkedIn, anything, feel free to reach out, happy to engage.
Thank you very much. I guess that's the end of our discussion today. So hopefully this session has been an eye-opener and beneficial to everyone, especially those who are working in human resource department. So again, thank you so much everyone for joining. Thank you the organizer, thank you panelists, and thank you the audience. So yeah, have a great day and Assalamualaikum. The floor is yours, Fred.
Okay. Hello again, everyone. Thank you for the speaker who have shared the valuable insights for all of us, and thank you everyone for attending to this session. Okay, don't miss our next Ignite Industry Focus series, the Ignite Global Business Service or Ignite GPS. We will keep you posted on the Ignite GPS, so please follow us at Iskandar Innovation Hub social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and stay tuned to upcoming announcements. So I would like to share a little bit about Common Ground Iskandar Space, a newly opened co-working space in collaboration of Common Ground and Iskandar Investment Berhad. We will start operating in January 2022. So stay tuned. On behalf of Ignite community, I would like to apologize of any difficulties experienced, and thank you for joining us today in ETIF. Bye.